The silence in the short Gill Cave was suffocating, broken only by the faint hiss of Mark's breathing apparatus. Shadows clawed at the edges of his dive light, swallowing everything beyond a few feet. He should have known he should have turned back to meet Dave, but the dark mouth of an unexplored passage pulled him in, tempting him forward. Just a quick look, he thought, then I'll head back. He squeezed through, only to feel his foot jam against the rocks. As he struggled, clouds of silt billowed around him, swallowing his light. His lifeline slipped from his hand, disappearing in the haze. Panic gripped him. He was alone, trapped and running out of air. Before we get deeper into our chat, we'd love for you to take a quick moment to subscribe to our channel. Did you know that only 1.3% of our awesome viewers are subscribed? That means 98.7% haven't joined our little family yet. Our goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and with your help, we can totally make that happen together. Thanks so much for the support. Now let's get back to the video. Short Gill Cave is a fascinating and unique cave system in Carbondale, a valley on the western edge of the Yorkshire Dales. The cave sits in a rugged and remote area full of limestone hills and valleys, offering visitors a glimpse into the region's natural beauty and ancient geological history. Sitting at 830 feet, 253 meters above sea level, Short Gill Cave is one of the highest cave systems in the area. It stretches over 1,801 feet, 549 meters in length, and reaches a depth of 69 feet, 21 meters, making it one of the most accessible cave systems in the Yorkshire Dales. Short Gill Cave is home to a variety of wildlife, including bats, insects, and spiders. Many of these species are endangered or rare, making the cave an important habitat for them. However, exploring the cave requires skill and experience because it contains narrow passages and vertical drops that can be tricky and dangerous to navigate. Visitors are advised to only enter the cave with a trained guide and appropriate equipment, as the cave can be unpredictable and risky. Mark Fisher, a young diver with a passion for adventure. Mark Fisher, a 24-year-old American, had always loved diving and the thrill of underwater exploration. His fascination began as a young boy, and he later won multiple swimming competitions in high school. As Mark got older, his passion for diving grew, and he earned his open water diving certification, allowing him to explore the ocean to a certain depth. He found diving exhilarating, as it opened up a whole new world beneath the surface. Mark often went on diving expeditions with his best friend, Dave Lucas. The two shared a love for adventure, frequently traveling to explore and photograph the underwater world together. While Mark was skilled in open water diving, he knew that cave diving was a different and much more dangerous form of diving. Cave diving requires specialized training, equipment, and techniques, as it involves diving into dark, narrow, and sometimes complex underwater caves. Open water diving, the type Mark was certified in, is the most common type of scuba diving. It takes place in open bodies of water, such as oceans, lakes, or rivers, where divers can ascend directly to the surface if something goes wrong. In contrast, cave diving requires advanced skills and buoyancy control, propulsion, and underwater communication. Divers also need specialized equipment like reels, lights, and sometimes even breathing gas backups to navigate through the cave and handle emergencies like low visibility or equipment failure. Despite the dangers, Mark and Dave decided to dive in Short Gill Cave without consulting experts or getting proper cave diving training. They wanted to explore the beauty of the cave and did not want to be limited by any restrictions. However, this decision would prove to be a fatal mistake. Setting off on a risky dive. One early morning, Mark and Dave arrived at Short Gill Cave, eager to begin their adventure. They wore their scuba gear, including masks, fins, and regulators that allowed them to breathe compressed air from their tanks. They also had dive lights attached to their helmets, dive computers, a line and a reel to mark their path, dive knives, and a buoyancy compensator to help them control their buoyancy underwater. They decided to follow the rule of thirds, a common safety measure for cave divers. This rule suggests that divers should use 1/3 of their breathing gas to reach their destination, 1/3 to return to the entrance, and 1/3 to reserve as in case of emergency. Their dive plan was to reach a certain depth, separate to take photographs in different parts of the cave, and meet back at the predetermined point exactly 25 minutes after starting the dive. They began their descent into the cave at 8:35 a.m., following a guideline that previous divers had placed. Dave went east, while Mark went west, each eager to capture images of the cave's hidden beauty. However, as the time to meet approached, Mark noticed a small, unexplored area called a sump. Driven by curiosity, he decided to explore it, thinking he could quickly return to meet Dave. Unfortunately, he became so absorbed in his discovery that he lost track of time. When things go wrong. When it was time to meet, Dave arrived at the rendezvous point as planned, but saw no sign of Mark. He waited for several minutes, checking his remaining air and growing increasingly anxious as time passed. Meanwhile, Mark adventured further into the tight sump, where he became physically stuck. He realized he was running low on air, and panic set in as he struggled to free himself. In his attempt to get out, he kicked up a silt from the cave floor, clouding the water and drastically reducing visibility. In his panic, Mark lost hold of the guideline, which was his only way to find his way back. Trapped, with low visibility and a dwindling air supply, he realized he was in serious trouble. With only 1/3 of his air reserve remaining, Mark fought to escape but grew weaker with each attempt. Back to the rendezvous point, Dave began to worry as he saw his own air supply running low. He knew he couldn't stay much longer without risking his safety. Unable to locate Mark, he made the difficult decision to return to the surface alone. Once he reached the surface, he alerted the cave authorities and explained the situation. The rescue attempt and tragic outcome. As soon as Dave sounded the alarm, a rescue team was quickly assembled. The team made their way into the Gill Cave, following the guidelines toward the area where Mark was last seen. However, when they reached the sump, they found the water filled with a silt, creating zero visibility and preventing them from proceeding. They had no choice but to wait several hours for the silt to settle. Finally, after about 6 hours, the team was able to make their way to Mark's location. Tragically, by the time they reached him, Mark had already run out of air and passed away. The rescue team had to use pumps to remove the water from the sump to retrieve his body, which had become wedged in the narrow passage. Upon recovering Mark's body, authorities investigated what went wrong. They determined that Mark's lack of cave diving experience and his decision to explore an unfamiliar part of the cave led to the tragedy. Without proper training, he was unable to handle the unexpected challenges, and his decision to deviate from their dive plan proved fatal. The incident highlighted the importance of caution and preparation in dangerous environments like caves. Going alone, even briefly, and without advanced training put Mark in an impossible situation. If he had stayed with Dave, they might have been able to avoid the sump altogether, as 2 sets of eyes could have evaluated the risks better. Remembering Mark Fisher. Mark's death was a heartbreaking loss for his family, friends, and especially Dave. His adventurous spirit and love for diving had brought him joy throughout his life, but the lack of cave diving knowledge ultimately cost him his life. Dave was devastated by the tragedy and felt responsible for what happened despite his efforts to help. Deeply affected by the loss of a friend, Dave decided to give up diving altogether. Mark's story is a powerful reminder of the dangers of extreme sports and the importance of proper training, preparation, and respect for nature. Even with the most passionate and experienced divers must be cautious, especially when entering challenging and unfamiliar environments. The tragedy at Gill Cave reminds adventurers to always take necessary precautions, consult experts, and never underestimate the risks associated with exploration. This sad event left a lasting impact on Mark's family, including his parents and younger sister, and on his friend Dave, who vowed to honor Mark's memory by spreading awareness about the importance of safety in diving. It is the story of a young man full of life whose passion for adventure led him to an untimely end, reminding everyone to balance excitement with caution when pursuing their dreams. As the rescue team emerged, the cave returned to silence, holding its secrets in the dark. Mark Fisher's last dive was a powerful reminder. Some mysteries are better left unexplored. For those who venture in, remember to respect the depths or risk becoming part of them. Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed this story, show more love by liking, sharing, and subscribing for more elaborate stories of adventure and lessons. Stay safe out there.